anxiety spewing from those who ended up enabling the real abusers by looking the other way because it was political expedient to do so for years? Me too. And that's the angle. Joining us now with reaction, attorney and GOP official Harmeet Dhillon, along with Democrat Capri Cafaro, former minority leader in the Ohio State Senate. Harmeet, let's start with you. I mean, I'm not a fan of Al Franken. He and I have clashed a lot politically over the years, and I found him actually personally quite nasty. But I'm getting a little bit worried about where this is all going, because the Democrats clearly would not have acted against Al Franken if they had had the White House and they had had a decent majority in the Senate. This was so they could tar Trump and go after Roy Moore. I have no doubt in my mind. Absolutely,
Laura. I agree with your comments yesterday and Newt Gingrich's. I think that Al Franken is a human sacrifice on the altar of 2018 for the Democrats. And, you know, look at the leader of the pack, Kristen Gillibrand, who last year was campaigning happily with Bill Clinton, sends him thank you tweets, and thinks it's all hunky-dory. And then when it's expedient to throw the Clintons overboard, which they've done, now they've done that as well. And so I think this whole Me Too movement has been enabled by the fact that the Democrats are no longer held back by the Clinton dynasty, because for all these years, everybody knew it was wrong, what was happening, yet they couldn't say anything because the leaders of their party were the ones doing the offending and the demeaning and the shaming and the blaming and all those bad things. And so now it's a new day, but I think they're going a little bit overboard here. And I'm not sure Al Franken, based on his comments today, is truly with the program.
Now, Capri, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, look, I mean, I think the entire thing is gross, frankly. I mean, I do think that...
Well, what does that mean? Everything's gross.
Everything is gross.
The culture is gross today.
The culture is gross.
Yeah.
I think this entire thing is indicative of the swamp. It is the swampiest of swamp thing. So, number one, I think that Al Franken is not necessarily on board, but I do think that he did this to take one for the proverbial team.
But he says he's going to stay... He's going to keep his voice. What does that mean? He's going to keep
That's
his
a really
voice?
good question, and here's why. Because obviously he resigned because the Democrats wanted to make sure that they were, quote unquote, like
clean.
Yeah.
Now it's like
they're getting the high ground, right? They're getting the political high ground. They're getting the political high ground here in light of the theoretical victory of Roy Moore next week, right? So what happens, number one, if Roy Moore loses? That'll be very interesting.
He's not going to lose.
I don't think he's going to lose.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think at the end of the day, you know, poor Al Franken is trying to salvage his reputation. But what makes me angry is that if people were not called out, Democrats or Republicans.
Roy Moore said he didn't do any of this. Roy Moore is denying this.
But Al Franken denied it all, too.
Right, so he shouldn't have quit. Roy Moore's fighting. Roy Moore's fighting, and I didn't even endorse him, but Roy Moore's fighting.
But here's the bottom line.
Quitting.
But from a Democrat,
he won't stand up to
from
those
a Democrat
perspective, that's a wimp.
From a Democrat perspective, Democrats and myself included say, look, you know, if you believe women, if you believe victims.
Can a woman ever tell a tale that is false about a man? Does that ever happen? Because to watch what people are saying about this, all women are saints. All women are saints, and all men are sinners.
We need to be careful, and we do need due process. But
there's no due process.
There is no but there's no due process on either side. It needs to be equitable. The bottom line is it needs to be equitable. Democrats and Republicans alike.
This is what I say, Harmeet. A mere allegation. Now, Harold Ford Jr., who I know a little bit, is now several years ago. I guess you can't ask someone for a date more than a couple of times. Well, and now that's a violation. You can't. And the Trent Franks thing, I don't know what to think about. But I don't even see how that would be harassment unless it were a condition of employment or part of an overall hostile work environment, which it's not.
And most of the Al Franken incidents are that way as well.
Yeah.
Like, there's a difference between John Conyers, who allegedly harassed a number of his subordinates, but Al Franken doing the grabbing of the butt cheeks in public venues.
Poor taste.
There's no actually legally. I mean, you take that case to a DA, they're not going to prosecute that.
I mean, George H.W. Bush apparently is getting Randy in the wheelchair.
All the time.
Let's leave that poor man alone.
I'm just saying, if you're going to be equitable, you just said be equitable. You want to be equitable, let's be equitable.
For every offense.
But I'm saying this is going to backfire on women. I know I've had conversations with so many men over the last couple of weeks. Everyone's afraid. Everyone's afraid to. They're afraid to hire women. They're afraid to travel with women. They're afraid to be alone in offices with women, because if it ends up being their word against a woman's word in this climate, they're done.
But guess
they're done.
No, but you know,
no matter what.
And that's lovely. But at the end of the day, not only is it important to believe women, but at the same time, we do need to engage in due process. And there is a way to marry those two things.
This is politics. Politics is a different court than the courts.
This is not a court, but that's why it's so dangerous. When it becomes bad actors should be removed from office. If you're harassing
Democrat or Republican,
doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with politics, but it has taken on the edge of political warfare, and that's where it's tedious for people. And I'm telling you, it's going to backfire on women. This is not good. Time Magazine, the Me Too movement's the person of the year. Well, I wonder what it'll be next year.
Let's make sure it's not the flavor of the week, because here's the risk for women. When we cry foul too much, then we diminish the real victims.
Well, I mean, Ted Kennedy, it was the last time I checked, Republicans and Democrats lionized him when he died. And he was a big figure in the Senate. He also had quite the reputation.
I was his intern in graduate school.
Right, and I have
the greatest respect for that.
Well, he actually was very nice to me personally, and I actually liked him personally. But I'm saying he had his own issues, but going way back to the late 60s, we have to go back to Chappaquiddick. But, I mean, come on. And no one's house is clean here.
Nobody's house is
clean. One thing to change the rules going forward, but another thing to bring up 10-year-old allegations.
I know, 10 years, forget. Okay, John Lewis says he will not appear at a Mississippi, I guess it's a Civil Rights Museum event, if Donald Trump is present.
It's sad. You know, this man is a legitimate, bona fide hero of the civil rights movement, and now he's throwing his legacy down the drain by refusing to work with a Republican who's actually improving the lot of African-American people in his state. So I think it's really unfortunate.
The economy's soaring, and it's helping everybody.
Absolutely.
You know, he is a civil rights icon. He has the right to protest, as every American does. I understand where he's coming from, and you know, let him do what he wants to do.
Civil rights for everybody. I mean, I don't get that. I find that very.
It's easy to have civil rights for everybody unless you were denied them at some point.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I guess it's all a litmus test at this point. Ladies, it's great. Can I still say ladies? I don't even. A girl.
You can't say ladies.
Can't
women.
say girls.
Broads.
Chicks. All right, broads. All right. Ferocious wildfires.